What's good? It's Woog. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I just wanted to give some quick thoughts on the announcement of the fight between Vasyl Lomachenko and Masayoshi Nakatani. This is taking place on the 26th of June, so June 26th, and it's going to be at 135 pounds. So for anybody who thought that Lomachenko, after his loss to Teofimo Lopez via unanimous decision, was going to go back down to 130 and compete there, it looks like for the time being he's going to kick it at 135, and his next fight is against a very tough and hard-hitting opponent in Nakatani. Nakatani, you might remember, gave Teofimo Lopez a run for his money like 2-3 fights ago. So Teofimo Lopez was finishing his fights in like highlight reel knockouts, and then he goes against Nakatani, basically has his most difficult fight to date, and then he knocks out Richard Comey for the IBF title, and then beats Lomachenko for the WBC, WBA, and WBO titles. So this is a very tough comeback fight for Lomachenko, which I guess he doesn't have too much time to waste. He's now 33 years old. Coming up, he was a two-time Olympic gold medalist. He won his first professional title back in 2014. In his third professional fight, he captured the WBO title against Gary Russell Jr. right after his second professional fight, which was a disputed decision loss against Orlando Salido, which remained his only loss for like the next 6 years until he eventually lost to Teofimo Lopez in that, just a spectacular upset just in terms of the magnitude. Here Teofimo Lopez is coming up 21, 22 years old, and then he takes the gamble of a lifetime challenging the longtime pound for pound elite Vasyl Lomachenko, and he pulled off the upset. And with that came all the spoils. But Lomachenko, like I said, captured his first belt in 2014 at 126 featherweight, and then a couple years later, 2016, he won a 130-pound title, and that's when he went on that run where he stopped Roman Rocky Martinez, and then he fought the feared Nicholas Walters, who was undefeated, had stopped Nonito Donaire, and he gave Nicholas Walters his first professional loss. Nicholas Walters quit on the stool, and then he fought Jason Sosa, he being Lomachenko, after stopping Walters, which I thought that was going to be a way more competitive fight than it turned out to be. Fights Jason Sosa, who's got a win over Javier Fortuna, who's got a draw over Nicholas Walters. So Lomachenko goes in there and stops Jason Sosa, and then he beats Miguel Mariaga. He stops Guillermo Rigondeaux, and Guillermo Rigondeaux also quit on the stool between rounds. So this is where Lomachenko started to get like 3 different opponents to quit on the stool between rounds. By the way, Rigondeaux was like 2 weight classes up. He really had no business being in there with the much bigger Vasyl Lomachenko. But by the way, that to this day remains Guillermo Rigondeaux's only loss, 2-time Olympic gold medalist himself. But after that Rigondeaux fight in 2017, Lomachenko then goes up another weight class. So now he's won titles at 126, 130, then he goes to 135, and then he fights that really tough fight against Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares famously dropped Lomachenko in that fight. Lomachenko comes back and stops Linares with a punch to the body, no less. So he TKOs him in the 10th round, and then he fights Jose Pedraza, unanimous decision, knocks out Anthony Corolla, and then he has the tough fight against Luke Campbell, unanimous decision win. Luke Campbell fought a very spirited fight there, and then Lomachenko runs into Teofimo Lopez, and everybody, just about everybody, thought Vasyl Lomachenko was going to win that. The question was he going to stop Teo? Was he going to, win via decision? A lot of people thought that this was just a very dangerous fight for Teofimo Lopez, which it was. If this could have gone super south, he could have totally outclassed Teofimo. He could have made him quit between rounds. He could have stopped him late, and it could have been one of those losses that derail a young, up-and-coming fighter's career. Didn't turn out to be the case. So one of the questions remains is, Well, one, where is Lomachenko just in terms of his abilities, relatively speaking, at 33 years old? Here is one of the most skilled guys we've seen in the past several years who was just able to completely outclass his fighters to where the angles that he was taking, the volume that he was giving, his accuracy, his upper body movement, his footwork. I mean, you could look at his training methods and see, yeah, this cat's pretty different. I mean, sometimes his opponents would seriously look like they were surrounded by one Lomachenko. It would look like they're fighting 3 or 4 different guys. And so now Lomachenko's 33 years old. And also, you know, I'd wondered whether he had kind of hit his ceiling size-wise by going up to 135 because he was clearly having more difficulty there than he was at 130 or even 126. Outside of that, you know, lost in his second professional fight against a very rugged and weight limit exceeding Orlando Salido. So that one aside, Lomachenko didn't have too much difficulty at 126 or 130. He got to 135 and he wasn't, you know, his punches weren't having the same effect, even though he did knock out Anthony Corolla and he stopped Jorge Linares. But it looked like his punch absorption wasn't exactly what it was at 130. But even more than his punch absorption, because it's not like he's getting knocked out by anybody, he still hasn't been stopped. It's more like he's just getting hit more often, much more than we're used to seeing him get hit. I mean, this is the guy who was having those, you know, video clips going viral where he's just standing there with his hands down, moving his body around like he's Pernell Whitaker, making like 8 to 10 punches miss him. Well, that's not quite the case these days with Lomachenko, at least with, you know, the fighters that he's going against, whether it's Luke Campbell, Pedraza, Linares, and of course, Teofimo Lopez. He's not able to dance circles around these guys anymore. So on top of the skill gap and the abilities gap seemingly kind of narrowing between Lomachenko and the rest of the pack, you know, there also had been a couple of injuries that had kind of compromised his abilities somewhat. It's tough to tell whether he's completely over that, shoulder injury being one of them. But now we got to take a good look at this next upcoming matchup. So, you know, just my initial thoughts, him versus Nakatani. You know, Nakatani's about 5'11" to Lomachenko's 5'7". So when Lomachenko went up to 135, you know, he fought Luke Campbell, who's about 5'9". Luke Campbell looked pretty tall against Lomachenko, and he's still, again, 2 inches shorter than Nakatani. Plus, Luke Campbell doesn't hit nearly as hard, seemingly, as Nakatani. Nakatani, we just saw his last fight against Felix Verdejo, one sensational, you know, Puerto Rican prospect, Olympian, who, you know, it looks like is in all types of drama. He's arrested for murder of his supposed baby's mother, and, you know, while she's carrying the baby, just horrific allegations, charges against Felix Verdejo. He's in jail without bail. It is all bad on the Verdejo side. But yeah, in Nakatani's last fight, it was against Verdejo. It was looking like one of those fight of the year type candidates. Verdejo hurt Nakatani multiple times in that fight, badly. And Nakatani just responded like a warrior, and that's why it became such an action-packed fight. Verdejo was looking good and being somewhat elusive, but Nakatani just keeps the offense coming. Again, he's 5'11", very tall for the division. I mean, think about it. Vernon Forrest beat Shane Mosley for the title at 147. Vernon Forrest was about 6 feet 6'1". Well, Nakatani's just about an inch shorter than that, and he's fighting 2 weight classes below. So being nearly 6 feet at lightweight 135, yeah, you're going to have a height and reach advantage over most of your opponents, the vast majority. And that's definitely going to be the case here with Lomachenko versus Nakatani. Lomachenko's reach is 65.5 inches. That's compared to Nakatani's 71-inch reach. So yeah, there are going to be some dynamics that Lomachenko's going to have to deal with. And if he's not still of the capability of swimming without getting wet and just having his, you know, the Matrix, high tech, you know, those are his nicknames, abilities of being able to elude punches, especially against a guy like Nakatani who's going to give you volume and power and durability over the course of 12 rounds, taking your best shots while he's at it. Oh man, this is going to be something else. This is going to be one hell of a comeback fight. But with that comes huge opportunity for Lomachenko. Because I think that if he could beat Nakatani, that could put him in line for a potential rematch against Teofimo Lopez, which I think would be very warranted, especially if he looks good in beating Nakatani, who again, Teofimo Lopez really struggled with. So couple that with the promotional breakdown where you've got the other top 135 guys, like or at least the very popular ones, if not the top ones. You got Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. They both fight on DAZN. One of them is with Matchroom Eddie Hearn. That's Devin Haney. The other with Golden Boy. That's Ryan Garcia. So promotionally, that doesn't work right now for Lopez, who's a top rank Bob Arum ESPN guy right now, even though his next fight, title defense against George Kambosos, is going to be on Triller. But then even if you look at Gervonta Davis, whose next fight is against a 140 guy in Mario Barrios, and Davis has only competed once at the weight class below that, 135, against Yorki's Gamboa. Well, Davis, to me, is at his best, at least right now, at 130. That's where he knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. That's where he's done most of his work. A win over Jorge Pedraza, for instance. Knockout win at that. But Gervonta Davis is with PBC. So that doesn't exactly align promotionally versus a Teofimo Lopez. So I think that the play to make, if Lomachenko gets by Nakatani, which I'll do a proper fight preview as that date approaches, we could be looking at the Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko rematch. Again, Bob Arum, top ranked guy, versus Bob Arum, top ranked guy. The other possibility for Teofimo Lopez is to fight the winner of this upcoming showdown. Undisputed championship showdown with all 4 belts on the line at the weight class above 140 between Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. It looks like Teofimo Lopez could get the winner of that fight, where you would basically, if Teofimo Lopez gets by George Kambosos, you would have all 4 of Teofimo Lopez's belts on the line against all 4 of the belts that the 140-pound owner will have, either Josh Taylor or Jose Ramirez, which I don't like that idea. For instance, when Gervonta Davis fought Leo Santa Cruz, and this fight was at 130, they had both Gervonta Davis's lesser 135-pound title on the line, as well as Leo Santa Cruz's 130-pound WBA super title. They had them both on the line, where the fight was at 130. I feel like the only belt that should be on the line in this case, or in cases like these, are the belts that are at the division that the actual fight is taking place at. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which route Teofimo Lopez goes, especially depending on this outcome between Lomachenko and Nakatani. That's going to be a hell of a fight. I would be very surprised if Lomachenko's able to make somewhat easy work and just totally school Nakatani the way that he's been known to school opponents in the past. I just don't think that's where we are any longer in Lomachenko's career. And even if we were, 135 is not 130, is not 126. And Nakatani is a true 135, a big 135, who again seems to have a chin and a lot of power and stamina, endurance, some hand speed, punches at weird angles with that overhand right. There's just a lot of things to consider when you're talking Nakatani. And it's going to be interesting to see how Nakatani handles Lomachenko's very elusive, southpaw, great footwork style. I can't wait for this one, and I can't wait to do the actual preview for this. But yeah, let me know what your early thoughts are on Lomachenko versus Nakatani. Leave your comments in the comments. And please, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.